What if I told you that Cleopatra lived closer in time to the launch of the first iPhone than she did to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza? Does that sound completely wrong? I know, it messes with your perception of history, right? We tend to lump all of ancient Egypt together, pharaohs, pyramids, hieroglyphs, Cleopatra, into one big, sandy, distant past. But the reality is far more mind-bending. Let's unravel this incredible timeline together because it completely changes how we see the ancient world and our place in it. First, let's establish our key players. We have the Great Pyramid of Giza, that iconic symbol of ancient Egypt, a marvel of engineering that has stood for millennia. Then we have Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Famous for her intelligence, her political savvy, and her legendary romances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. And finally, we have the iPhone, the device that arguably launched the modern smartphone era and changed the world. Let's start with the pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest of the three pyramids in the Giza necropolis, was built for the pharaoh Khufu. Most historians and Egyptologists place its construction somewhere around 2580 to 2560 BCE. Let's just use the year 2560 BCE as a solid reference point. Think about that for a second. That's over 4,500 years ago. The sheer scale of that time is almost impossible for our brains to truly grasp. These weren't just old structures, they were monuments from an almost unimaginably distant past. Now, let's jump forward in time to Cleopatra. When was she around? Cleopatra VII, the one we all know, lived from 69 BCE to 30 BCE. Her reign and her life story mark the end of an era, the transition of Egypt from an independent kingdom to a province of the Roman Empire. Her death in 30 BCE is a pivotal moment in history, so let's do the math. From the construction of the Great Pyramid in roughly 2560 BCE to Cleopatra's death in 30 BCE, how much time has passed? You add 25 and 60 years from the BCE timeline to the 30 years before year zero, and you get approximately 25 and 30 years. 2.5 millennia. When Cleopatra was alive, the pyramids were already ancient wonders. They were older to her than the Roman Colosseum, the Great Wall of China's Ming Dynasty sections, or Notre Dame Cathedral are to us today. Imagine Cleopatra taking a stroll or a barge trip along the Nile. When she looked at the pyramids, she wasn't seeing a recent construction project. She was looking at monuments that had been standing for over 2,500 years. They were already shrouded in mystery and legend. The original purpose, the exact construction methods, much of that knowledge was likely as lost to her and the people of her time as it is to us. Tourists from Greece and Rome, which were the superpowers of her day, would visit Egypt to gaze in awe at the pyramids, just like we do today. They were relics of a forgotten golden age, a testament to a civilization that had risen and fallen long before her own time. Now for the part that really breaks your brain, let's look at the other side of the timeline. Cleopatra died in 30 BCE. The first iPhone was unveiled by Steve Jobs in 2007 CE. So, how many years are between Cleopatra and the iPhone? We have 30 years from her death to year zero, and then another 2007 years in the Common Era. That adds up to a total of 2037 years. Let's put those two numbers side by side. The time between the Great Pyramid's construction and Cleopatra's life, about 25-30 years. The time between Cleopatra's life and the launch of the iPhone, about 20-37 years. It's astonishing, but the math is clear. Cleopatra lived about 500 years closer to us and the age of smartphones than she did to the age of the pyramid builders. This simple fact shatters our neat little mental boxes of ancient history. Cleopatra wasn't living in the world of the pyramid builders. Her world was the Hellenistic period, a world of Greek culture, of vast libraries like the one in Alexandria, of complex international politics and Roman legions. Her Alexandria was a bustling, cosmopolitan metropolis, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. It was a center of science, philosophy, and trade. While it was ancient to us, it was, in its own way, a very modern and sophisticated society. It makes you think about the pace of history and technological change. For thousands of years, from the building of the pyramids to Cleopatra's reign, the fundamental technologies of life, agriculture, construction, transportation, changed relatively slowly. Yes, there were incredible innovations, but the pace was gradual. A person from 2500 BCE might have found Cleopatra's world familiar in many basic ways, but now consider the 2000 years since Cleopatra. Think about the acceleration. We went from Roman galleys to steamships, from horseback to airplanes, from letters carried by messenger to instant global communication with a device that fits in our pocket. The technological leap from Cleopatra's world to ours is staggering, almost vertical. The iPhone isn't just a gadget, it's a symbol of this exponential curve of human innovation. It represents the processing power, global connectivity, and access to information that would have been indistinguishable from magic, not just to an ancient Egyptian, but even to someone from just a century or two ago. So, when we see images of Cleopatra, maybe we should adjust our mental picture. Instead of placing her deep in the dust-covered past alongside pharaohs in golden masks emerging from newly built tombs, we should see her as standing on a historical midway point. She was looking back at an ancient past that was already ancient to her, while unknowingly standing at the dawn of a new era that would eventually lead to the Roman Empire, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, and finally, to us, right here, right now, probably watching this on a device she couldn't have even dreamed of. This perspective doesn't make ancient Egypt any less magical. It stretches our understanding of time and highlights the incredible depth and richness of human history. The Great Pyramid wasn't just old, it was ancient to the ancients. And Cleopatra wasn't just an ancient queen. She was a figure living in a world that was in many ways closer to the foundations of our own than to the world that built the giant monuments she lived in the shadow of. It's a powerful reminder that history isn't a flat line, but a deep, multi-layered story with twists and turns that can still surprise us today. Next time you see a documentary about ancient Egypt, remember this timeline. Remember that the story of the pharaohs is not one story, but many, separated by gulfs of time wider than entire empires. And Cleopatra stands as a fascinating bridge, a figure who looked back at an incomprehensibly ancient past and stood at the cusp of a future that would unfold in ways no one could have ever predicted. It's just one of those incredible facts that makes studying history so endlessly fascinating. Thanks for watching. If this blew your mind as much as it did mine, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the surprising corners of history. Let me know in the comments what other historical timelines you've found fascinating. See you in the next one.